Always with the negative waves, Moriarty. If you know that line, you already love this film. Kelly's Heroes, 1970. Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Donald Sutherland in a psychedelically painted Sherman tank. A war film disguised as a heist film, disguised as a comedy. A production that nearly killed its most memorable actor before he filmed a single scene. 16 facts. One of them involves hand grenades, one involves a personal cheque, and one involves the same sound appearing 16 years later, in outer space. Fact 1. The film is set in 1944 France. It was shot in communist Yugoslavia. For two reasons that have nothing to do with scenery. First, the Yugoslav army still had operational World War II Sherman tanks in 1969. No other country in Europe did. Second, Yugoslav law prohibited foreign studios from collecting box office profits. Money stayed in the production instead of leaving the country. A communist state solved two problems no Western country could. Without Yugoslavia, there is no Kelly's Heroes. Fact 2. The Tiger tanks in the film are Soviet T-34s in disguise. The real Tigers had all been destroyed. By 1969, not a single operational Tiger tank existed anywhere in the world, scrapped, melted down, or locked in museums. The production took 3 T-34-85s from the Yugoslav army and rebuilt their hulls and turrets to approximate a Tiger's shape. The giveaway is the suspension. The T-34 uses Christie-style running gear. The Tiger had wide, overlapping road wheels. Millions of viewers never noticed. Fact 3. Donald Sutherland flew to Yugoslavia for one day of filming. He almost never left. Sutherland contracted bacterial meningitis on location. He fell into a coma. The local hospital had no antibiotics. His wife Shirley Douglas received a telegram, "Come immediately. He will probably be dead before you arrive." Sutherland survived. He described seeing the blue tunnel, the white light, and consciously deciding to dig his feet in. 6 weeks later, back on set with, as he put it, a boiled cauliflower for a brain. Fact 4. While Sutherland was still unconscious, his wife was being arrested by the FBI. Shirley Douglas had attempted to purchase hand grenades for the Black Panther Party. The seller was an undercover federal agent. She paid with a personal check. When Clint Eastwood heard the news, he told Sutherland the moment he was recovered enough to hear it. Sutherland had to help him back to his feet. Eastwood had collapsed, laughing at the check detail. The two divorced later that year. Fact 5. General Colt, the man barking useless orders from a safe distance, was played by Carroll O'Connor. When the film shot in 1969, O'Connor was a well-regarded character actor without a defining role. Then in January 1971, All in the Family premiered on CBS. O'Connor became Archie Bunker. Watch General Colt again knowing that. The pomposity, the rage, the complete detachment from events. It doesn't look like foreshadowing. It looks like a first draft of the same character. Fact 6. Eastwood was contractually trapped. His preferred director had already walked out. He signed on largely because Don Siegel was attached to direct. Siegel had to withdraw when post-production on Two Mules for Sister Sarah ran over. Brian G. Hutton took over. Eastwood, already under contract, had no exit. Hutton directed two of Eastwood's biggest hits back-to-back, Where Eagles Dare and Kelly's Heroes. The director he didn't choose delivered more than the one he wanted. Fact 7. MGM was financially collapsing. They greenlit a $4 million war film anyway. Studio chief James T. Aubrey was liquidating MGM's assets in 1969, selling off props, cutting budgets, dismantling the infrastructure of a legendary studio. In the middle of that crisis, he approved 6 months of location shooting in Yugoslavia with no studio oversight. Kelly's Heroes became one of the few bright spots in MGM's year. A studio selling everything it owned bet on desperate men chasing gold, and the desperate men won. Fact 8. Telly Savalas was 3 years away from the role that would define him. Big Joe, physically imposing, unexpectedly warm, capable of switching between authority and menace without warning. When Kelly's Heroes was shot, Savalas was a respected character actor with a 1963 Oscar nomination for Birdman of Alcatraz. In 1973, he started playing Lieutenant Theo Kojak, the lollipop, the catchphrase, the icon. The line between Big Joe and Kojak is direct. Both men operate in morally complicated spaces with absolute personal authority. Big Joe wasn't a breakout, it was a rehearsal. A lead actor in a coma. A wife arrested by the FBI. A bankrupt studio. A director nobody wanted. That was just the setup. What follows is harder to explain. Fact 9. The U.S. Army read the script and refused to cooperate. Yugoslavia did not hesitate. The production approached the American military. The Army read the script, soldiers abandoning their mission to steal Nazi gold, and declined. The Yugoslav military saw it differently. International exposure, solid payment, hardware on screen. They supplied tanks, uniforms, weapons, and thousands of soldiers as extras. A communist military enabled an American film arguing that soldiers fight for money, not ideology. Maybe they noticed the irony. Maybe they didn't mind. Fact 10. Sutherland was filming MASH and Kelly's Heroes at almost exactly the same time. The productions overlapped to within days of each other. Hawkeye Pierce and Oddball are not the same character, but they are clearly first cousins. Anti-authority, philosophical. Nominally inside a military structure they have no interest in obeying. In 1 year, Sutherland created two of the most enduring anti-establishment figures in war cinema. Whether by design or gravitational pull, nobody has explained it. Fact 11. Oddball's voice came from the script. The character came from Sutherland. Troy Kennedy Martin's screenplay gave Sutherland the framework and much of the dialogue, including the negative waves. What Sutherland added was the specific frequency of Oddball's detachment, the delivery, the timing, the sense of a man on a wavelength nobody else could tune into. Sutherland, asked why he took the role, cited the writer and director by name. He knew what he was building from. He just built something nobody else could have. Fact 12. The man who wrote this film went on to write one of the greatest pieces of British television ever made. 15 years later, he wrote Edge of Darkness for the BBC, widely considered one of the greatest British dramas ever produced. Same instinct. Not one genre, but two at once, with money as the real motive. The military didn't appreciate it. Audiences in both decades did. Fact 13. The soundtrack belongs to 1970, not 1944. That was deliberate. Burning Bridges sounds nothing like a World War II score. It sounds like a road movie, or a long drive with no destination. Hutton wanted the music to speak directly to 1970 audiences rather than period authenticity. The signal was clear. This isn't nostalgia. A generation questioning what they were fighting for heard a soundtrack that questioned it with them. The wrong decade was exactly the right choice. Fact 14. The man who wrote Burning Bridges became Lieutenant Governor of California. Mike Curb wrote the song's lyrics and was president of MGM Records at the time. Burning Bridges reached number 34 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. Then Curb changed careers entirely. From 1979 to 1983, he served as Lieutenant Governor of California, and when Governor Jerry Brown was out of state, Curb stepped in as acting governor. The man who wrote the soul of a film about soldiers chasing gold eventually ran a state. The song outlasted the career. Fact 15. The ending was the most radical 3 minutes in the war genre. Kelly walks out alone, no weapons drawn, no attack. He approaches the German commander, professionally, pragmatically, and proposes splitting the gold. The German agrees. Two armies shake hands over shared greed. No victory speech, no flags, no meaning assigned. Critics called it cynical. Audiences loved it. 50 years later, it still lands because it refuses to lie. Greed doesn't need a uniform. It just needs an opportunity. Fact 16. The sound of the Tiger tank turrets ended up in a science fiction film 16 years later. The electric motors driving the turrets of those Yugoslav T-34s produced a very specific mechanical sound. In 1986, James Cameron's team used that exact audio for the power loader sequences in Aliens. From a film set in 1944 France, shot in 1969 Yugoslavia, to a colony on a distant moon in 2179. From a Yugoslav film set to a colony on a distant moon. Nothing in cinema travels further than a good sound effect. A coma. A grenade arrest. A bankrupt studio. A communist military. A director nobody asked for. Kelly's Heroes had no right to work. It worked anyway, because it told the truth with a straight face. No flags, no speeches, just soldiers who decided one time to do something for themselves instead. Always with the positive waves.